Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason at Fort Belle Fontaine State Park in North St. Louis County, Missouri, just not too far from Blackjack and Florissant and many other communities surrounding. But this is a very historical park that I'm not sure many people in the St. Louis area even know about because, to tell you the truth, there's not many signs that point here, not even from 270. But to get here, you got to go to Belle Fontaine Road off the interstate and just keep going straight. And then you gotta check in with the guards upon entering here, and I'll tell you reasons why in a second. But this is a very historical park, and it's got a lot of works progress administration parts to it, and as well as Lewis and Clark expedition history. There are some historical markers here. I'll be hopping on the trail for a little bit, and I'll show you around. Can't wait to show you. Here we go. So I do believe the main reason why you do have to check in is because this county park shares its land with the Missouri Hills campus of the Missouri Division of Youth Services, also known as M-DYS. But this is bounded by Coldwater Creek and the Missouri River, and there's a trail 3 miles around that goes around it. And here is a little nice looking pathway that takes you to these markers. The Lewis and Clark campsite. They were here May 14th, 1804, and that was when they were on their way, and not too far from their starting point, right over there, 3 miles. And then Lewis and Clark came back here September 22nd, 1806. So yeah, what a nice marker. But there's more details about that up ahead. But there are some private buildings around here, and I don't recommend anybody trespass. For that reason I stated earlier, but anybody's welcome to walk around this park, you know, in certain areas all year round, but I prefer the spring or fall or summertime. But an old trading post was once here, an old fort was once here, Fort Belle Fontaine, and then here is the overlook, and I'll show you a little bit. And that's a very small parking area, only fit for either 2 or 3 cars. But down here, I mean, you can definitely see the Missouri River, and I'll show you a little bit further. And plus, there's 2 historical markers right over there. And down here, you get a really nice view looking down at the trail as well as the river. Now, to get down there is that way or that way. And while I'm here, I might as well check out the historical markers. They look to be very lengthy, but I'll check it out anyway. So I'm going to visit the one on the right first because it talks about how this was actually a fort. Fort Belle Fontaine was built in 1805 on a low plain near the confluence of the Missouri and Mississippi rivers. Belle Fontaine was the first U.S. military post located in the newly acquired Louisiana Territory and was originally called Cantonment Belle Fontaine, as it served as an Indian factory or trading post for local Sac, Fox, and other Indian tribes. The fort served as the launching or stopover point for a number of expeditions to the far reaches of the American West. Among those first explorers was pioneering military officer Zebulon Pike, the Yellowstone Expedition, Stephen Long's Scientific Expedition, and the Lewis and Clark Expedition. In 1809, command was given to Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Bissell, who was given the mission to relocate the fort to higher ground in 1810. Fort Belle Fontaine soon became the command and supply center for a number of new frontier posts, which constituted the fort system for westward expansion. But 1826, Fort Belle Fontaine was replaced by Jefferson Barracks. And for those who don't know, that is south of St. Louis City. And one of these days, I'll definitely do a video there, as it was a barracks for a long time. So, regarding the staircase and the stonework in the area were built in the 1930s by the Works Progress Administration, or the WPA. It was one of those innovative programs started by President Franklin D. Roosevelt to create jobs during the Great Depression. And as a unique park area, these improvements were meant to attract St. Louis residents to the Boys' Home. The home opened in 1915 and was commonly known as Belle Fontaine Farms. And here is some of the WPA projects that were included in that. Let me get out of the sun there. And then this one over here talks about Lewis and Clark when they were here returning from their expedition. They were just a few miles away from where they started, near Wood River in Hartford, Illinois, present day. But September 22nd, 1806, members of the Lewis and Clark expedition spent the last night of their several miles journey at Fort Belle Fontaine. And it had been built in 1805 while they were crossing the continent to the Pacific. Captain William Clark wrote that they were kindly received by the gentlemen of this place. The returning explorers were welcomed by Colonel Thomas Hunt, and the artillery company assigned to the fort fired a salute of 17 rounds. And one of the people who was on the journey was Sergeant John Ordway, and he wrote one of the final entries in his journal that he kept throughout the 28-month trip. He described this fort as a handsome place. He then added that a number of those soldiers are acquaintances of ours. Before departing the next morning, Captain Clark and Captain Meriwether Lewis visited the post store. Here they bought articles of clothing for Chief Sheheke, I hope I'm saying that right, who had been invited to join the homeward bound explorers weeks earlier and was being outfitted for their arrival at St. Louis later that day. And this is what the fort looked like. Alright, so I'm going to go this way and go down to that staircase. And I'll go ahead and say this, definitely be very careful, be very cautious upon going up or down these stairs, because yeah, like right here, there's like a break on one of those stairs, so just be very careful. There's another one right there and right there. So yeah, definitely, especially if you're bringing your kids. But the views are spectacular either way. And it is best recommended to go down these stairs as opposed to going down those hills. Oh yeah, much worse. Just be very careful again, because you never know. Now I'm just going to go up one step. Yeah, watch out for that too. And that. But this is where you go when you go to the bike trail. Okay, so now I am here at the nature trail. And this is what you can see from the bottom to the very top. Really lovely view. And I'm not going to go that way. But before I go that way, I'm going to check this out down here, which of course again is the Missouri River. Now I'm not going to be going up close, you know, of course you'll find out why in a second. So as you're getting into the weeds, there is a pathway, very narrow one, but and then I think this is about as far as I'll go, because I really don't feel like hurting myself going down there. But yeah, you get a nice, really cool view of the Missouri River. And remember, this is 3 miles west of the confluence between the Missouri and the Mississippi rivers, as the Missouri ends. It looks like it's a little bit dry. I mean, it's not really above, but I mean, I see a couple sand, like dry places, like where that tree branch is over there, and just right over there. So yeah, but if you're willing to risk it, do it still at your own risk when you get down to those boulders down there and getting up way close to the Missouri. Now, I've been to this park a few times, but I've never once walked on any of these trails, so I'm gonna see where this leads me. I heard there's a few notable things to check out while here, so we shall see. And the first historical marker I encounter on this trail talks about Belle Fontaine, or Beautiful Fountain as it literally translates to. And in one of my past videos, the one at Belle Fontaine Cemetery, I mean, I've heard it pronounced Belle Fontaine, Belle Fontaine, Belle Fountain. Well, I think it is official, Belle Fontaine. But here it talks about, I mean, I'm not going to go into this, the trees, but I will talk about the Works Progress Administration at Fort Belle Fountain. Now, as it said on that one marker up there, FDR established the WPA during the Great Depression of the 1930s. And so WPA workers built all the limestone projects from 1936 to 1940 to enhance the Missouri Hills home estate and to attract visitors to the picturesque landscape, which is somewhat right in front of me. But during the 1940s, this was a well-used and popular site for picnicking and swimming during the hot St. Louis summers. Improvements to the site involved the construction of retaining walls, trails, stone bridges, and culverts, as well as comfort stations, barbecue pits, gardens, a gazebo, and that massive grand staircase we walked on. And here's something I did not know until now. I had not realized Eleanor Roosevelt, who of course was the first lady, was literally here. She was here November 5th, 1939, and she even wrote about it. Wow, check this out. All right, so we're gonna go that way and continue on. So one of the first things I'm seeing is this piece right here. I mean, I'm sure this was done by the Works Progress Administration, but I mean, this is all new to me. And yeah, it's fall at the moment I'm doing this, so there's a lot of leaves. But yeah, bird bath. And I'm wondering what this is right here. This is probably, besides those picnic tables and how this was all neatly put together, I mean, I'm just really curious as to what this all is. I mean, this is awesome. All natural features and everything. I mean, there could have been like a cave or something like right there. I mean, I'm sure there's people and explorers that have been here and tried climbing this, but yeah, good luck with that. And this one is definitely an interesting one because I mean, this baby is spread out like that. And according to that marker back there, this is the remains of a bathhouse, a men's bathhouse. Whoa, hello. As I risk going into this stone building, which no longer has a roof. Yeah, this at one time was a bathhouse. The room that I'm, well, I shouldn't say a room, but this thing that I'm standing in. I mean, look at all these old pipes, and which of course are not working, but still, somebody had a Bud Light. But I mean, yeah, this is like so bizarre. And I mean, at first I thought you would think this would be a prison because of those steel bars or iron bars or whatever right there. But nope. But sadly, this is decaying, and I'm sure it has been for many decades now. But, you know, explorers like me, YouTubers or whoever, I mean, they dig it. And this pretty much leads to nowhere, but I'll check out what's over there. I decided not to exit out the door back there, but go back to where I came from, but I want to see what this was all about. I mean, it's very difficult knowing what this was because there is no historical marker here. But as soon as I get some answers. And then this looks to be the duplicate building of which one I was in. Let's see for sure. Well, there's a much cleaner way. Oh yeah, definitely is. All the pipes. Now, looks like somebody took some of the steel or the iron bars or wherever they are. Man, look at this. See, not many people even know. I mean, I didn't even know this was all here until today. But yeah, St. Louisans, this is what you're missing. And as I'm continuing down this trail, it looks like I'm at a junction of another trail, which possibly takes me to the river. And then there's a historical marker. Let's see what it says here. Looks a little dirty here, but ooh, red ants. Okay. Well, I mean, it does give a little history. Some of it I already read at the ones at the top of the staircase, but there's some more interesting information, like during the War of 1812, the site was threatened by Native Americans who were in the pay of the English. And then a 15-star flag was displayed at Fort Belle Fontaine by the 1st U.S. Infantry Regiment reenactors in 2002. I'll show you a picture of that. And then it talks about the Lewis and Clark expedition. And then Colonel Daniel Bissell, he was given command of the fort in 1809, just like I was saying up there. So right now I'm going to go ahead and check out to see. I'm sure this trail doesn't last that long, but I'm just going to do a little exploration just for the heck of it. And here I am. I don't think this is the end of the trail, but I will tell you where this takes me, and that's Coldwater Creek. Oh my gosh, check this out. I see an owl. Well, it flew away. Some other cool birds I don't ever see every day. But yeah, this park is one of the boundaries of the park, Coldwater Creek. And I actually did an episode on Coldwater Creek Cemetery a couple years ago, and that played an important development in the city of Florissant, Missouri. Now, I know you probably can't see it because the camera don't do it justice, but behind that tree you can see if this goes into the Missouri River. So I'm actually looking probably northwest at this moment. But I'm going to go ahead and go back on the trail. And as you're going further into the trail towards the entrance, when it curves, like right there, there's a historical marker about Coldwater Creek. And there's a lot of interesting information. A lot of it I would love to read off, but it mostly talks about like a guy named Hezekiah Lard constructed a water mill on Coldwater Creek sometime before 1797. The Lard property was located on approximately 3 acres at this bend in Coldwater Creek. It was said to be on the east side of the creek. The exact location and description of the mill is unknown, but he sold 500 French acres, excluding the mill, and improvements to William Massey in 1797. And then Massey sold this land to General Wilkinson in July of 1806 to be used for Cantonment Fort Belle Fontaine, an Indian factory. But the mill, at one time, they were used to grind grain, saw wood, tan hides, weave fabric, and make paper. The water wheel was the main source of power for communities well into the 18th century. And then something about General James Wilkinson at Coldwater Creek. He was actually the first governor of the Louisiana Territory and commander-in-chief of the U.S. Army in St. Louis. And for strategic purposes, he selected this site because it was near the mouth of Coldwater Creek. And then, but back then it was called the St. Ferdinand River. Wow, huh, interesting. And then this talks about animal fossils, like animals they believe to have inhabited this ground, such as the sloth, the giant beaver, the mastodon. Yeah, I'm talking about this right here. And then from that historical marker is a small trail that leads to the creek, but I don't want to go any further because I'll be falling into something. But you can tell, yeah, the creek is mostly dry, with the exception of that area right there. It's got the sounds of a waterfall. Very nice. All right, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason, just right at the top of the staircase at Fort Belle Fontaine State Park. Signing off.